This is kind of new for a lot of us using this, application. So thank you for trying it and for giving us some of your time. Before we start, I was just going to do some housekeeping, which is the mute button at the bottom. When Wendy is sharing, and then when I talk at the end, if you want to just mute yourself, click on that microphone at the left-hand bottom, just so if you sneeze or someone comes in and starts talking to you, then not everyone won't hear your conversation. And then if it's fine, I'd love for you to keep the video up so we can see your pretty faces. If you feel like, you're going to be moving around a lot or like folding laundry or something, if you want to turn off your video, just because everyone can see that as well. Not just Wendy and I, but everybody can see each other. So that's just a little housekeeping there. We're going to record this. I don't think we started recording.
I did just start it, so we're all set.
That's fine. We'll turn it off before the end when we have questions, just in case, you don't want to ask your question and be recorded for posterity. We'll turn that off. So what we're going to do tonight is that I'm going to introduce Wendy, and then she's going to talk for about 15 minutes about health and nutrition. And then she's going to hand it back to me, and I'm going to give about a 15-minute talk on just my journey to try to get healthy in the last few years and what I've learned about nutrition. So I think that's all of the housekeeping things. So I'll get started by introducing Wendy. Wendy is a follower of Jesus. She's a wife to Brian, or the wife to Brian, not a.
Thank you.
The mother of 2 delightful grown children, Jason and Nick. She's a retired nurse and a retired homeschool mom. We know them from our church. We've been members there twice, 15 years ago and now, where Brian is an elder and Wendy is the head of our ESL program. We have a smallish church, but a pretty booming ESL program, and so that's a pretty big undertaking. Wendy's been a wellness educator for the Juice Plus Company for 18 years, so she just has a wealth of knowledge of that. And since this is kind of a small, intimate setting, she doesn't know I'm going to do this, but I want to tell you a little quick story about Wendy. And that's that when we moved back here 3 years ago, Rick was gone for 3 months to DC, and he left in April, and Wendy offered to come and keep the girls so I could go to a doctor's appointment, and I very much appreciated that. And so fast forward, and it was Mother's Day weekend, and Rick was coming home for the first time since he'd been away for Mother's Day, and the girls brought me this gift bag, and I thought, oh, well, he must have helped them, come up with this, right? And we're homeschool family. I mean, they're with me all the time except for ballet and piano and Sunday school. So how could they have done this? And I pulled out these 2 lovely birdhouses. These look familiar, Wendy? And I was like, how did you do that? Where did you get these? And they said, oh, Miss Wendy brought these when she came to babysit us so that we could paint them and give them to you on Mother's Day. And I just sobbed. I had to tell them, oh, it's not the birdhouses. I love the birdhouses. Yeah. I was so touched that she would do that. Like, think ahead, think about someone else that she's going to have Mother's Day and her husband's gone. And anyway, so I keep these on my kitchen counter because I love them, because Julie and Maggie made them. And they just remind me every day that God provides for us in the most surprising and most beautiful way. So this is the lady that I am describing, the birdhouse, thoughtful, thinking of other people person. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Wendy.
Oh, thank you, Katie. Well, I love you guys so much. So I'm going to share my screen here. And then we're going to walk through a presentation just real quickly because we want to get to Katie's story. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to need to back up. I'm so sorry. All right. So if you are here, I know that Katie cares greatly about you. And so thank you for being here. And our hope is that really you leave here with a better understanding. When we have understanding about something, I feel like then we can move into action and protect what I believe is really one of the greatest gifts God gave us, and that is our health, because when we have our health, we can do abundantly more with our lives. And so obviously the gospel is the greatest gift, but I feel like following that really is, if we have our health, we're able to be a better mom, a better wife, do more in the world for the Lord. So I do believe that. Life and health used to be so much more simple. I feel like it used to be about, playing out in the garden with fresh vegetables. Used to be that we were playing outside at night till it was dark. We were drinking water from the hose. And, when we went to sleep at night, we were sleeping, we were tired, and it was just a day of a lot of play, a lot of learning. And it was so much more simple. It seemed so much more simple. Today, now fast food is taking over from like the healthy family meals at the table so often. The outdoor play now is so commonly about the indoor games and playing online. And what used to be a treat with the sodas now is so much what people are drinking, the big gulps and the soda and all the sugar and toxins that people are bringing in their body. And now so many people are just tired. They're tired all day long. And it's just a different picture today than what it used to be. And so I want you to start out thinking about you, because this is really why Katie has you here, is think about how you are taking care of you, because it's really important that we start with ourselves. And, are you eating real food? Are you eating plants? Are you eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and whole grains? Are you exercising your body? Are you exercising the muscles of your heart and your body? Very important that we do that most days. Are you drinking a lot of water? We say half of your body weight in ounces. So, that's a lot of water, but we just want to be drinking water and hydrating our body throughout the day, and sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night. And I know in today's day and age, it's a badge of honor to talk about how little sleep you got. I'm not sure why, but it seems to be the case. So there really are two startling trends that are taking place that I feel like we do need to really protect ourselves from. Externally, there's not as much we can do about this, but we are living in a chemical world. We have to be really careful about the chemicals that we're putting on our skin, and the water that we're drinking. Is it a good quality water? The air quality in our home. So we can manage some of that. Some of it we can't. And if you're living in a bubble, then you're probably affected by some of these things. So something to consider is the external environmental toxins. But what I really want to talk to you about is this message of what is going on with the food that we're putting in our body. And when I read 1 Corinthians, whether we eat or drink, do all for the glory of God. So we have choices to make. How can we glorify God with what we consume? How we're taking care of these temples that we've been given. And, not that we worship them. And I don't want you to get confused on that piece, because it's not about we worship the Lord, but we need to take care of our bodies, that we would glorify him even more as we do. And so if we can't pronounce what's on the labels, so the preservatives, the additives, the dyes, the synthetic vitamins that our bodies don't recognize, the flavor enhancers, there's just so much going on when you look at the label and try to figure out what's in something. And if you can't read it, you probably shouldn't be putting it in your body, because it is a chemical most likely. And I don't know if you've heard of Food Matters. It's a great book, but Larry McCleary says about 80% of the food on the shelves in the grocery stores today didn't exist 100 years ago. And if you think about it, think about how big our grocery stores are today, Kroger and even Whole Foods and, Walmart. And there's just so much, and we have to be very careful about what we're looking at there. And most of our produce that we are consuming has lost a lot of nutritional value through the years. We're looking at much lower, like over-farmed soil. So the mineral content is much lower now. There's long distance transportation. I have a friend in Florida, and she said, I don't know why I'm getting my oranges from California or Mexico or Ecuador. Why aren't we getting Florida oranges? So it's confusing, and it doesn't make any sense. But the produce is being picked and traveled. It's being, a lot of it, irradiated and pressurized. And as that produce is dying, the enzymes are what is changing the color. It's still going to change color. So it looks like it's healthier, but it really is losing a lot of the food quality. So it's a slippery slope we've been on in our country. And this I can give you more information if you want to see where this came from. But in 1910, there was a 100-nation study that was done, and it was classifying the nations according to their health, the healthiest nation, and we were first in 1910. In 1950, we were third, and 1950 is when the fast food industry started coming in. It's when the pharmaceutical industry, because of how much sickness was starting, the pharmaceutical industry was really picking up. 1970, we had dropped to 41st. And this is, again, $6 billion is going on as far as fast food, the fast food industry here. And a lot of the preservatives, additives, saccharin was coming in, just a lot of things were happening at this point in time in our country. 1980, we were 95th. So you guys, we have the best trained doctors in the world, no doubt about it, but we have one of the sickest nations in the world. And so we just need to be aware of what is going on, and there's consequences. So again, we die for lack of understanding sometimes. And I feel like this is our mission, is to bring understanding to people. So I'm not going to read these, but just take a look really quickly at what is going on in our country. And Dr. Bill Sears, many of you may know him. He said that 75, and actually it's to 80%, they believe, of chronic disease is preventable. So all of this could be prevented if people understood this message of prevention. And so it makes us very passionate about getting this message out. So it really is about oxidative stress. These toxins coming in causes our body to be in this disarray of oxidation. And so our best defense is going to be to bring in antioxidants, and those are found in fruits and vegetables, in the raw fruits and vegetables. And this is going to take place at the cellular level. And the oxidative stress is what's leading to disease. So the higher oxidation we have, the more likely we are going to be to, our bodies just can't handle preventing a disease. But when you bring in, you eat an apple, you eat an orange, you eat a carrot, the antioxidants in those have what's called, well, they're antioxidants, but they link to what's called free radicals in the body. And so that missing electron, that free radical is missing electron, and the antioxidant links to it and neutralizes it, which lowers oxidative stress. So this is the missing link that so many people don't understand. I didn't understand this, so I want to make sure that you do. This is happening at the cellular level. And you can see the oxidation on the left side of this apple. On the right side, it was squeezed with some lemon juice, so it's protecting the apple from oxidation. The same thing is happening in our body. I love this in the Time magazine. It's not that fruits and vegetables are good for us. It's that they're so good for us that they could save our lives. And I believe that that is so true. And if you look at the American Cancer Society poster, you don't see a bunch of Twinkies and hot dogs and Doritos. What you see is these fruits and vegetables of all different colors, saying this is what we are recommending that you get in your body to prevent cancer. And if you look at any website, I'll be doing a health consultation for someone with Crohn's. And I just happen to look, okay, Crohn's, what are they recommending now at Mayo Clinic or whatever? It's always a healthy diet of fruits and vegetables. Any condition that you look up, they're going to recommend that you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. So really, really important there. Okay, so really fruits and vegetables are packed with nutrition. They're packed with phytonutrients. That's plant nutrients. So if you look at this apple here, it has 10,000 nutrients in it. Okay, and it's those 10,000 giving the cells what our cells were designed for. It's not 28 in a vitamin pill trying to kind of trick the body into thinking, okay, yeah, I need that vitamin C, but I need the harmony of 10,000 together. That's what's going to have power in our body. And that's why a vitamin is never going to compare. And I love this. I found this bin of 10,000 little beads. And then I have this little vial of 28 nutrients. And it's like, oh my goodness, that is just such a huge difference. And so it really is about fueling our body with all this plant nutrition that God intended for us. And if you look at this picture, it is about the spectrum. It's about the rainbow. It's about getting all the different colors in our body. And research is showing that each one is great for overall health, but each one also targets a particular organ system. So as you guys probably know, carrots are great for the eyes because they have carotenoids. Our eyes need carotenoids. If you look at tomatoes, they're great for our skin health and protecting against skin cancer. It's also great for prostate health for men. For breast health for women, the cruciferous vegetables of the like the cabbage, the Brussels sprouts, the broccoli, the cauliflower, those are all showing to really nourish breast health for women. So it's really important that we understand that we need variety, we need color, and so when you go to the store, be sure that you're, looking at different ways to try different plant nutrition. And then this is what I found 20 years ago, and I'm sure Katie has shared about this already with you, but I found a solution to a health problem that I was having and I was facing in my life, and it was a very devastating time. This is basically the nutrition of 30 raw fruits, vegetables, and berries. They start out as an heirloom seed, which is non-genetically modified, non-GMO, and then they grow it in nutrient-rich soil. The standards are unbelievably high for the quality of how the produce is grown. They vine ripen the produce. They pick it at vine ripen, and then they immediately, just off a site, they crush the produce so you're getting the whole food. Obviously clean it and crush it, and then they flash freeze it so that they encapsulate the nutrition frozen. They send it to the plant in California where it's then put into a powder form very quickly and encapsulated. So all the living enzymes are maintained. And that's what I love about it. And we are in a global epidemic with health. It's not just our country, it's many other countries, because what we do here is spreading to other countries, unfortunately. So a little bit more about my story. 20 years ago, I was really losing hope. I hate to say that because I'm a Christian, but I didn't know how to get through life. I was homeschooling my kids. I was exhausted, in a lot of pain. A lot of days I felt like I couldn't get off of the couch, and didn't know how I was just going to do life. I couldn't wait to be a mom. So it was devastating to me. I had an autoimmune disease, was finally diagnosed. I had irritable bowel syndrome. My gut was just a mess. I had allergies. I had hives. I would break out in hives, and that's a scary thing, because you don't know where those hives are going to, come to the surface. And for me, it was a cry to God for help. I was on a handful of medications. I was on a handful of vitamin pills and minerals and things. And so I feel like after that cry to God, I felt like I was led to read about nutrition. And as a nurse, I could not believe what I was finding, because we are just told to, here's, put a Band-Aid on it, stay on this medication. You're going to be on it for the rest of your life for your autoimmune disease. Well, what I was reading is my cells could get healthier if I give them what they needed to be healthy. And so I started nourishing my body, started juicing at the time. I didn't know about this yet, but finally a friend shared with me about Juice Plus, and I am forever grateful. Number one, it's so much easier than juicing, plus it doesn't have the sugar in it like the juicing does. And the first thing I noticed was that my appetite changed. We call Juice Plus a catalyst for change in your life, because I started craving a lot of what's in Juice Plus. So if you eat a lot of French fries, you're probably going to crave a lot of French fries. But if you eat and get this kind of nourishment in your body, you're going to crave this kind of nourishment. And trust me, I could not believe this. And my children, started getting this in their bodies, and they would go out, and we'd go out, and they'd order salads. And I was just like, wow. I mean, this is amazing to me. So quickly, the irritable bowel cleared up for me. The gut tends to be one of the quickest thing that heals. And then the allergies, the hives, my histamine level was really high, which when your immune system is out of balance, it's very common for your histamine to go up. And so that started going away. And so I just felt so much better. But the beauty of this is that the stories that we hear, and now I've been doing this for so long, we have a couple thousand people taking Juice Plus. So to hear the stories, it is just incredible, the transformation that's happening for people. But the thing that I was looking for when I started taking it, I was reading how anything could be put on the shelves at the health food store. And so I was looking for research. I needed to know that there was research on this product. And there was. Back then, there were probably 8 to 10 studies, I think, and now we have about 38 studies, so, and more in the works. So this company is all about looking at all different types of populations of people. So we have a study on pregnant women, we have a study on ovarian cancer women, cardiovascular study, dental studies, all kinds of things. So if you're interested in learning more about the research, I'm not going to take the time right now, but you can let Katie know, and you can check out her website to see the research in more detail. But you can see here a little bit more about what's going on in the body, the results. The main thing is it's bioavailable. Vitamins are not available to be absorbed in the body because the body doesn't recognize it. This gets absorbed into the body, and the body thrives and goes to work just in healing and recovery. So I love that. And then we have a children's Healthy Start program for families where when somebody takes Juice Plus, the company and the rep, we kind of contribute in helping that child take it for free for up to 4 years. They just pay for the cost of the shipping of that product for the child. So it's wonderful. We're seeing great results in children. Less are on medication, less are going to the doctor. They're consuming less fast food and drinking more water. Just great results are happening. And I feel like this is one of the best lessons we can teach our kids is how to treat ourselves, how to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others and help serve others. Really quickly, just want to talk about, we have the micronutrition of the fruits, vegetables, and berries. And then we also have the macronutrition in our complete shake and bars and how to get the fiber, the healthy carbs, the healthy fats and sugars for the body. So love this. Drink this every day in a smoothie, or I put it on my oatmeal. It's just amazing. We also have an omega blend that just helps to, it's all plant-based, but we skip the fish and we go straight to the algae. And it's all plant-based, mainly coming from seeds of like pomegranate, raspberry. And so this is showing to really be helpful for the heart, the brain, the joints, the skin, and the eyes. And then the last thing we have a very, just minimal product line. It's all just exceptional, but you can also grow your own tower garden. We've got this growing downstairs in our laundry room. Absolutely love it. But it's 98% less water is used, 90% less space. It has a yield of 30% more, and it grows 3 times faster. So we've been consuming this garden all winter. It's been just amazing. So you can get lights for it and grow in the winter time. Just really quickly, I just want to share with you the healthylivingrevolution.com is an incredible resource for health. And you can listen to these webinars. There's a whole lot of them there. You can just kind of click on the one that interests you and take a look. There's also a great cookbook there, among other things. But our products just really make a difference. And that's why we are so excited about it. That's why Katie's excited about it. It's really breakthrough technology and a way to simply grow your own produce so you know where it's coming from. You know that the condition of the minerals, it's a liquid mineral, but it's really high quality. So I am now going to turn it over to Katie, and she is going to share our story. And if you go up to the right corner, you guys, if it happens to say gallery view, or if it says speaker view, you can put it on that so that you can see Katie a little bit more clearly. So, okay, Katie, turning it over to you.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. You can leave your video down. I'd love to see your faces if you want to turn your video on, but it's up to you. So some of you know some of this, and some of you only know part of this, but about 5 years ago, basically my body just fell apart. The Air Force moved us from Virginia to Washington State, and Rick was so excited because he was going to get to be a commander, and that was a really big deal. There were lots of hopes and excitement about that, and it turned out to be horrible for him. It was probably the worst job he's had. It was a total disappointment for him, and he was working 14-hour days and coming home stressed and tired. And then we were having really hard time assimilating into our community. I'm not sure why, but it was just different. It was harder. I had one child that we butted heads every day in homeschool. I had one child that cried every day because she didn't have friends. I didn't really have any outlets because on the weeknights, Rick's schedule was erratic, and so it was hard to, make a commitment to do something every Wednesday night or whatever. And so I tried a few things, but just didn't have really a consistent Bible study or, hobby outside the home. It was just kind of a perfect storm of things, really. And we were really far away from everybody we knew and from our families. And as you can probably guess what happened, my body began to take on all that stress. It seemed like every relationship was strained in some way in my immediate life. And there was just a lot of stress, and my body began to take it all on. And the first thing I should have known is just that my immune system was down, because I had a cold. The first winter we were in Seattle, I had a cold, I think 7 out of 8 months in a row. And so I should have just known right there, like something is awry. But anyway, several months after that, I started having IBS symptoms, gynecological symptoms. I had these painful little tongue sores on my tongue. Dentists and doctors weren't really sure what that was all about. And then the last thing that came in was the worst and lasted the longest, and that was just debilitating fatigue. It kind of felt like jet lag, when you're really tired from a trip or something, and you come home and you think, well, I just need 1 or 2 good nights rest, and then I'll feel back to normal. But it was like I was sleeping every night 9 hours, and I never felt rested. It kind of felt like someone punched me in the eyes. I know I told several doctors that, and they were like, okay, but that's really what it felt like. Kind of felt dizzy and lightheaded. It was just hard to get up and do life every day. And I had these little kids, right? It was homeschooling. I had to get up, and that was actually a blessing, right? Like I had to get up for them and just kind of push through it. And I know that God carried me through those months, because on my own, I was just a mess. Can y'all still hear me? Wendy disappeared. Okay. So I went to the doctor, and my first doctor, I asked her if we could test and culture things, and she said no, and she gave me a bunch of antibiotics and cream. And so I went to a different doctor, and this was just God's providence, because she was a functional medicine doctor, and I didn't know what that was, but she was credible, and she took my insurance, and those were the 2 most important things for me at that time. So I went to her, and what a functional medicine doctor is they're an MD, but they also have additional training in integrative medicine. So it's a little more holistic. She did all the normal kind of testing and culturing that I wanted my other doctor to do. All those things were clear. And she said, okay, I think we need to look at what's some deeper causes, what's really going on inside, like in your gut. And so we did a bunch of testing. This happened over the course of many months, still, lots of raging symptoms. And she told me that I had this thing called leaky gut, which I'd never heard of that. But what that is your small intestine is damaged by the foods you eat and by stress. And the foods are like gluten, dairy, soy, sugar, processed foods, alcohol, soft drinks, all the really good stuff. So she told me that, it was damaged, and all those things were going into my bloodstream. I also think I had adrenal fatigue. She never diagnosed me with this. I think if I'd stuck with her, if I hadn't moved again, maybe we would have gotten to that. But that's just where your adrenal glands are taxed by stress, and you just have unbelievable fatigue. So I think probably I had that as well. We talked about, just lifestyle, about drinking water, sleeping enough, exercising. I felt like I was doing those things fairly well. We talked about stress. I was not coping with that very well. She gave me a bunch of supplements to take, and we talked about my diet. And I thought I had a good diet. I love fruits and vegetables. I love salads. Didn't drink a lot of soft drinks. Didn't eat a lot of fast food. But as I did an elimination diet, I realized that I was eating a ton of sugar and a lot of processed foods. When I got hungry, I was going to the pantry, not necessarily the refrigerator. So, I started to realize that I needed to work on my diet. So I was doing those things. I was eliminating all the things that I knew were harmful. And I thought, after like maybe a month, I would see a lot of change, but I really didn't. And then after 2 months, I was still feeling just as poorly as at the beginning. And so this was really frustrating, to feel like you're doing everything you know to do and that you've been told to do, but you still don't feel better. And it was sort of like you're just surviving life, right? You're not really living. And in the middle of all this, we moved to Dayton, Ohio, which was wonderful because that put us back on this side of the country. And I found a new functional medicine doctor, and we did some more testing and, food sensitivities and all sorts of tests, and nothing really conclusive there. Tried more supplements, still not feeling better. At this point, it's been a year for the early symptoms, and it's been probably 6 to 8 months of the fatigue and the fuzzy feeling like you're going to pass out, and the jet lag and the punching of the eye feeling. And this is just a really helpless feeling. I really can't even describe. I don't think if I had 30 minutes, I could really just describe kind of just what this felt like. It was just really hard. And I know I would not have admitted it at the time, but I'm pretty sure I was depressed, just because I was tired of feeling bad, right? Sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. So I went to church one morning here, and I saw Wendy, and I remember that she had some autoimmune thing years before, but I couldn't remember what it was. And so I found her at church and said, "Have you ever heard of leaky gut?" She said, "Yes." I said, "I need to know what you found out years ago and you felt bad. Will you get together with me?" So we got together, I think, that week, and she started to tell me about her story. Like she mentioned to you that she was juicing, that she had studied and researched that what her body needed was more nutrition, more fruits and vegetables. And so she shared this with me, and I thought, well, I'm certainly not eating 9 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables. I probably, if the serving is like the size of your fist, I'm probably thinking I'm eating a lot, but it's probably about 5 that I'm getting a day. And actually, if you're sick or you're an athlete, you're supposed to get more like 13 to 16 servings or some crazy amount that most of us would never, ever get in a day. So I also found out that there are 4,000 studies that say that fruits and vegetables prevent and heal disease. And I've never heard that before. Makes sense though, right? And then I also ran across this stat recently that 70 to 80% of your longevity is how you take care of yourself. And I think Wendy mentioned this as well, that 20 to 30% are your genetics, but the rest of it is just what you're putting into your body and how you're caring for your body. So this was kind of, new information. I was taking a lot of things out of my diet, but I wasn't really putting in the fuel that it needed. It's like I had put oil in the car, but not the right gasoline. And so Wendy was telling me about Juice Plus, and that it was, fruits and vegetables in a capsule, just to bridge the gap, to achieve those fruits and vegetables that you need. And it made a lot of sense. And she showed me the research. And I like that because I wanted to make sure there was some science and research behind it. And there was also studies about how that show that Juice Plus is absorbed into your bloodstream, because that's important to me, because I was taking all these supplements and not feeling any better. And I thought, are these like absorbing at all into my bloodstream, or what's going on here? So, it's a lot of synthetic vitamins, not real food that was being absorbed into my body. So I decided, okay, I'm going to give this a year, and decided to take the Trio blend. So I was taking 3 different kinds of 3 bottles that you saw on the screen that Wendy had up. And really over about 8 months, it wasn't overnight, over about 8 months, my symptoms began to completely fade. I started having energy. I felt like I had my life back. That foggy, fuzzy, punch in the eye thing finally went away after about 8 months. What I noticed before the 8 months though, was that probably within the first 3 or 4 months I was not catching every virus going around anymore. I felt like people would sneeze and I would catch everything. And so I just wasn't catching stuff anymore. And that was thrilling. And then I put Maggie on the Healthy Starts program. One child can take it free with an adult who's taking Juice Plus for 4 years. So I picked Maggie because she was kind of pickier at the time. And I started noticing that she wasn't catching a lot of crud anymore. And if she did catch something, it lasted like maybe 2 days, and it just wasn't this big, 10-day episode. So I was thrilled about that. We weren't a family that were at the pediatrician a lot for antibiotics. I know there's a lot of people who do have that story, that they were, always having strep or ear infections, and their doctor even told them to take Juice Plus, and they did, and their kids, have stopped having those things, and the pediatrician's office actually called and say, "Did you change doctors? We haven't seen you in a really long time." So those stories are out there, but thankfully that's not us. But we did catch, I feel like, every virus that went by. Not anymore. So I'm really thankful for that. And the kicker was this year, about 6 months ago, Julia said, I am really tired of you and Maggie never getting anything. And I'm the person that catches stuff now. And so she wanted to be on it. So she put this on her Christmas list. It's a smart girl. She put this on her Christmas list because she knew her daddy would say yes if it was number one on her list. So Rick decided that he would take it so she could do the Healthy Starts program and get it for free. So all of us are on it now. So anyway, I felt like I was starting to move in the right direction, and I was really, really thankful to the Lord for getting me through that period. And then I turned 40, and I had my happy 40th birthday mammogram. And then I had another mammogram, and I still wasn't really worried at this point because I had one when I was 35, and because I thought I'd felt something that was nothing, it was fibrocystic change. But I only had one other family member who had breast cancer, so I just didn't even think about being at risk for it. But then when they said the word biopsy, I started to get really nervous, and the biopsy showed that I had DCIS, which is precancer. They still treat that just like they would treat stage 1. You have a lumpectomy, you have radiation, and then if you're estrogen positive, that's a marker. If your markers say that your estrogen is feeding your cells, and they give you a pill that's a blocker for that, tamoxifen. So this was scary, right? Like even if it's precancer or stage 1, it's still extremely scary. It's still the C word. And I think just all the waiting and wondering was hard. It took probably 2 or 3 months to get through all those appointments and scans, and a lot of waiting and just trusting that God is good and He's with me. And so I had the lumpectomy, and the pathology report showed that there was stage 0, but there was also a little area of stage 1. My surgeon actually called it stage 1/2 because it was so small. I loved him for saying that. And it was not in my lymph nodes, which was huge. It's a wonderful thing. And so I had a lot to be thankful for. And then I had radiation for every weekday for 6 weeks. And then the doctor told me he wanted me to take, all my doctors said, I want you to take the tamoxifen because, your estrogen is feeding your cells, and this will help block that. It was interesting because I asked all the doctors, telling them kind of what I just told you about a year in Seattle and a year in Dayton when everything kind of went awry in my body, and I'm pretty sure my cortisol levels were crazy high. And I said, is this cancer, was my cancer caused by what happened before? And they said, well, we can never, of course, really prove that, but your pathology report certainly does line up with the fact that, if you had crazy high hormones and cortisol levels, that feeds the cancer. So that's just an interesting fact. But I think back on this, and I just see God's blessings to me. I recovered really quickly from the surgery. I took narcotics for about 24 hours. The radiation, the Lord was so good. I didn't have to take the kids with me. Julia was just old enough where I felt like I could leave them at home every day for that 45-minute period to do that. I actually loved the radiation techs. I cried when I left the last day because I loved them so much. They were such a blessing to me. And even the tamoxifen, I haven't had any of there's a huge list of like crazy, uncomfortable symptoms that can happen. I haven't really had any of those. I can just look back and see this was a storm, and God just carried me through it. And it was hard, but there were lots of wonderful blessings, even in the hard stuff. I think Juice Plus helped too with the recovery and the radiation. I just didn't feel tired, or some of those things they said that I could feel. I think I have a better understanding now just of the whole package of eating the right nutrition and exercise, water, sleep, stress, making sure I have an outlet. I don't want to just have these things in mind because I've had cancer, but I just want to have them in general to have a happy and healthy life, have an abundant life. Juice Plus is not a magic pill. I could still get cancer. I could get a worse cancer. I could get something else. But I want to give my cells every chance that I can to not feed bad cells. We all have cancer cells in our body. And so the question is what we're putting in feeding those cells or not? And so I just want to give my body the best environment. And flooding your body with fruits and vegetables how you do that, right? So I want to continue to do that. I gave you this long story about being sick, but there's a lot of people who take Juice Plus who aren't sick. They take it, maybe you think, oh, well, I'm doing pretty well. I feel good. But you don't eat 9 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables, because really, I don't really know anybody who eats 9 to 13 servings. So maybe you want to add it because you are doing a good job, but that's an area of deficiency. Lots of us need to take a better care of ourselves. I think moms were really good at helping everybody else and forgetting about ourselves. So some of us could take it, just get a better care. I think about caretakers, people who are taking care of other people. I met a lady recently who was taking care of 2 elderly parents who had dementia and Alzheimer's, and her doctor told her, if you don't get serious about taking care of yourself, you're not going to last longer than they will. And so she got on Juice Plus just to give her body a boost so that she could keep up with just the demand of that. And she did. And then also I know people who take Juice Plus because they have a lot of disease in their family, and they just want to take every step they can at giving their bodies a good environment to be healthy. So I'm excited about this message of whole food nutrition. It's something that really is kind of new to me in the last couple of years. I'm not blaming anybody, but I just really did not hear that message. Even when I spent a lot of time, being Dr. Google, just researching stuff on my phone those years about leaky gut. And, I read a lot about taking foods out, taking gluten out, taking dairy out, those types of things, even nightshades and different types of vegetables. But I never really read in all of that about, nothing said double those vegetables, or, it was a lot of add supplements, but never this message of whole food nutrition. And I think that's just really interesting. And I feel like it was a gift that was given to me, and it's still a gift I'm unwrapping and I'm learning more about, but it's too good of a story and it's too good of a gift not to tell other people about it. And so I'm excited about that message. I also think, who else out there feels like how I felt, when I was in Seattle and then early Dayton, where I just felt so horrible. I would love to help somebody who feels hopeless and feels like they've tried everything and they still feel awful. I decided to join the Juice Plus company for a couple of reasons. First, because I love their products. And secondly, well, also with that, I just found myself going around and telling people about them. Wasn't a rep or anything, but I just was always telling people, or people would ask me, tell me about your health stuff, and it would just come up. And secondly, I love their mission. Their mission is caring for people and taking care of others and trying to educate people about nutrition. And it's not about sales and marketing and gimmicky stuff. It's about really loving other people. And I thought, wow, I can get behind that, and working together with other people. And the third thing I love about this is that I've heard many stories of people coming to Christ. Many times our health or our bad relationships or a hard job scenario, they just point us to a deeper issue, which is meeting Christ. And so I've heard stories about people who come to a Juice Plus rep and kind of open their heart and open their life up and to somebody, and they come to know Christ through this. And I feel like that is really wonderful and exciting. So anyway, I'm going to close and just thank you for listening to all that. I would love to have your feedback on what you thought about the information that Wendy and I gave you. We'd love to know what you thought. We'd love to answer any questions. If you're interested at all in starting any of these products, I'm would love to help you with that. Wendy also does free consultation calls. So if you have a health issue that you'd like to talk about further, I can hook you up with Wendy, or the three of us can talk if that's more comfortable. But she's been doing this for over 20 years and just has a wealth of knowledge about these things. So lastly, I just want to say that I love you guys and appreciate you supporting me. I'm not going to harass you about this. I'm not going to chase anybody down at church. I'm not going to ask you if you're eating 9 to 13 servings, although I'll probably keep asking my dad that. I asked him today. But the rest of you are all...
Well, he's gone.
Why he disappeared.
He's hiding.
He is hiding. I'll get him. I know where he lives. I'm not going to harass harass you or taunt you or bring it up all the time. So no worries on that. So I know we probably need to close here. So if there's any questions, I'll open up the floor